right here on the show with me. We'll be doing this together. Chris, what is the update? I mean, how does it feel for you being a Nigerian sports journalist, knowing that South Sudan, the same team that humiliated Nigeria, the Super Eagles team B, 4-0? How does it feel for you still being over there reporting South Sudan's third place game against former defending champions, because they're no longer defending anything?
Yeah, it's actually great. It just tells you that our group is actually a tough group. And the two teams that finished top of the table, Sudan, the winners of the group, and Senegal, runners up of the group, got this very far in the competition, now fighting for third place for the bronze medal in the third place game. It just shows you that it wasn't really an easy group to have got out from. If Nigeria probably had got out of the group, probably would have been knocked out in the quarterfinals or perhaps. But it just shows that these two teams are very good sides. They've got strength, they've got quality in them, and they've showed that they're one of the great sides when it comes to African football. You said Sudan defeated us 4-0. They lost soon in the semi-finals, tragically, against Madagascar, even when they were playing against 10 men. I think they were just fatigued and tired in that game. They did well in the quarterfinals against Algeria, winning it by penalties. And I think going against Senegal, which they have played before in a 0-0 draw, I think they will know how to approach the game. For Senegal, they've not really been that spectacular in this tournament. They've been able to just stay compact and stay organized, and that's seen them through to this very state that they are. They'll be sad that they're not in the finals to defend this trophy. Like you said, a very young squad. Only about 2 or 3 players are in the squad from last time tournament that they won this tournament. So I do feel that they will be very displeased not being able to defend the title, but they could still be able to go on with the bronze medal. The first time they will be winning this bronze medal. But Sudan, it will be the third time if they get to win it. They won it in 2011 and in 2018 before. They will want to keep that record, winning a bronze medal. And for Kwesi Appiah, he will want to return to Sudan with something to show to the Sudanese that he's still the great man for the job, and he's doing a very good job ahead of course, a lot of things in front of them, the World Cup qualifiers, the African Cup of Nations, and all the other competitions to play for.
All right, let me come to now Town Far. Town Far, looking at what Sudan have been able to do, when you look at preparations towards the bronze medal, Kwesi Appiah, the coach of the side, taking Sudan further than many expected, especially with all the challenges back home. From your perspective, what has been the key? What has been key to the team's resilience? You think is about what the players have done, the coach, or what exactly has really pushed the players to this particular stage?
Thank you very much. I think one thing that the national team of Sudan were able to instill in themselves is the belief. They believed in themselves, and the coach himself as well, when he came up, picked up that team, including the senior team in the World Cup qualifiers. You'd feel that his presence was enough for the team to believe that, yes, even if they're in a war-torn situation, they are not even participating in any league. Remember, this squad of the Sudanese is mostly dominated by players from Al Merrikh and Al Hilal. These are 2 clubs that are participating in the Mauritania Super League. So that is why he got most of the players with a handful only from a few of the clubs that are in the Sudanese Premier League. But I think it is indeed the belief that they put in themselves and that they had that courage. Remember that in the World Cup qualifiers, they actually came up to Juba for their first World Cup qualifiers game against South Sudan, so of which they won by 3-0 in Juba National Stadium. So that alone is an encouragement. The fact that most of them maybe are not even staying in their homes in Khartoum, and they're not with their families because of the war, but they have that courage in themselves and say, maybe we can also push for something else from sports into another level. It's very discouraging that they actually lost that game to Madagascar after an extra time, which when I was watching that game, I believe it was, my thoughts were it was going to be on sport kicks where maybe the winner will be defined from. But of course, They were so sluggish in the last bits of the minutes of that game against the Magalashi, and that really punished them so much. They couldn't defend very well. There you are. So even if they lost, but still, I think they still have that belief that yes, they can still make it and maybe win the bronze medal. Remember that they faced Senegal in the group stages. They drew 0-0. So it's not actually the first time that they're facing each other. So they have understood themselves. They have understood their chemistry. So it's all about the coaches and the technical team on who will be taking up the day according to how they'll be approaching the game.
All right, you really talked about, how painful it was for Sudan not to get to the finals. But then you also remember that they faced Senegal in the group stage. It ended goalless. Sudan right now are going again against Senegal. Do you think Lightning will strike twice? Do you think it will still go down to draw and penalties eventually? Or you think Sudan have learned from their mistakes when they first met during the group stages?
I think Sudan might have learned from their mistakes. I can say both teams have learned from their mistakes because remember they all lost in the semi-finals. And I think, like I did mention earlier, it's all about now to tactics, how the technical team is able to now tactically approach this game. I remember it's a bronze medal game and everyone would feel yes, they need to go home with something else, at least to brighten up their faces as they learn into their land. Like my colleague said in Tanzania, Senegal, of course, were the defending champions. And would feel that since they couldn't defend it well, then it is maybe their time to, win this bronze, and they go home a little bit so pleased with their performance. But I think the Sudanese side, Kwesi Appiah, to me is someone who is very technical enough, is very quick at reading the opponents, and I think they still have that agility in themselves with the team, and I think they also need to make sure that they want to utilize those small parameters that they were able to witness from the Senegalese team, and they can be able to capitalize from there. On paper, Senegal is better, but of course, if you look at their previous records, you would tell that they have not been scoring goals in their last two meetings. In their last three meetings, they only scored one goal, and that was Senegal. So I think that really gives a lot of research, a lot of work for the technical team to make sure that they have to utilize the errors that any other of the countries would be able to put in place, and they utilize it as maximally. But I believe this game won't really reach penalties, and I believe it even won't reach extra time. It still can be defined on the 90 minutes, normal minutes.
All right, it will still be defined in the 90 minutes, the 90 normal minutes that we played in the world of football. But Chris, you are over there. Senegal are beating giants. They were the defending champions. Now they have to fight for a bronze medal. Now Sudan wanting to continue that fairy tale. Whatever happens to them, they've done so well in this tournament. What are the fans' expectations over there?
And I just got news that the Uganda president's wife bought all the tickets for this particular game.
Oh, wow.
As station for Ugandans for coming to watch out all the matches that have been played in the Nelson Mandela Stadium in Kampala. I remember in the quarterfinals where Uganda played, it was a filled up to capacity stadium. About 65,000 fans came out to watch that game between Uganda and Senegal. So this particular game has been brought out free, so we'll be having a lot of fans trooping to watch this particular game. For the fans, I'm not really sure they will want to support Senegal because Senegal knocked them out to the quarterfinal, so they will probably be backing Sudan for this one. And looking at the two sides, I think Senegal has not really been that team that came as defending champions. They've really been a very shaky side. They've not really scored a lot of goals. They scored about 3 or just 4 goals in this tournament, and considered only 3. So the reason has gone for them has been the compactness and defensive organization that they have. For Sudan, they scored a lot of goals. Remember, they scored 4 against Nigeria, 1 against Algeria, and all that. So I think as a team, as a whole, I think Sudan played more better football than Senegal. But this one where two of them have something to actually fight for this time around, like in the group stages. It's going to be a different situation, different game. And I think Senegal know that if they don't go back home with at least something, it might be a disappointing tournament for them as far as defending champions. But let's see how the game turned out 19 minutes. But I'll try to be rooting for Sudan. I think Kwesi Appiah has done a very good job, and the side actually deserve to go home with something.
All right, so we'll see how that turns out later today between Sudan and Senegal. And of course, it's supposed to kick off in a couple of hours' time. But we wish both teams well, and we say may the best team win later today. But of course, for Sudan, I'll support my friend Town Far, hoping that Sudan can achieve that victory and claim bronze medal. Thank you, Town Far, and Chris, for joining us today. Always a pleasure having you.